Hey, that was nice, man. I can see where your influences lie.
You sound like someone put a cigarette in a bottle of rocks and mud and just shook it up.
Shoved it down my throat.
Right, that's kind of what you're sounding like today. I don't know if anyone's told you that.
No, because all I said was hey to my roommate, and it just sounded like any other hey.
Now, is this something that's sexually transmitted, a disease that is...
I don't know if that's a thing.
Okay, so what is the plan of action for fighting this thing?
I'm going to drink tea when I get home.
Little tea? Okay,
Yeah.
so take the English approach to it, but what if that's not enough, you know?
I really think it's probably like some hot
Just
water.
just little
tea and honey.
soothe the throat.
You know, it's natural.
What if this could be, I think a lot of people worry, you know, whenever something like this pops up, this could be...
You're like, is he okay?
Right. Well, no, not as much people worry
they're not
about
really
you.
Concerned about
I'm
my
saying,
health or well-being.
as like you know, the person who's not feeling great.
Yeah.
You worry, you know, is this going to be...
Is this it?
Yeah, is this what I've got from here on out? Is this what I'm kind of dealing with?
Am I able to sing again? Can I sing again?
Well, no one was really worried about that. But I understand for you, you know, this might be something you're kind of grappling with all this stuff.
Yeah.
But again, I keep telling you, I'm pretty sure it's just like tea, you know, soothe the throat a little bit.
Tea and honey, some chamomile tea.
I think it'll be fine.
I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be okay. It's just kind of... we're doing a podcast.
We will have to
so
mention, that's what I was going to say. We'll have to, you know, figure out
some sort of solution.
Like, I'll divvy up with the funds a little bit because I'm clearly going to be pulling the weight here. Just because, you know, your voice, and that's the thing people are paying for, you know.
Yeah.
It's not on par with what it usually is, but that's fine. You know, it's bound to happen. We're here every week. Yeah.
I didn't call in sick.
Like no, you didn't call in sick.
I didn't know it was a thing until I spoke to you.
Right, yeah.
So maybe if I had spoken to myself at home,
you gotta kind of plan ahead for this kind of thing.
Yeah, then I would have called in sick. We would have had to reschedule.
Right.
But now I'm glad we didn't reschedule, and I'm glad I'm here.
Right. Yeah. If I get sick, we won't be so glad.
I'm not sick though.
Well, we don't know yet. You know, we don't know where this thing is gonna go. Is the thing. You know?
No, I told you I was yelling.
Right.
I was screaming in my car.
in the car. But what were you really doing that caused this? You know, symptoms.
Screaming in the car, excessive screaming in the car.
Now, do you feel like
it's not good for your vocal cords?
So what are you working through? At the expense of your vocal cords.
So I actually saw like a commercial that was like of just
feel
like
better in
a lady screaming in her car, and it's like it's better to take it out than to take it out on the road.
This is what we're left with in this country. They just hit us with, just scream in your car. Don't be bugging. Don't be bugging anyone. You have a car. Go scream in there.
Don't get therapy.
Let it out.
You maybe have a car, and you should scream in that before you go to your blue collar job.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, nowadays the odds that if you're screaming in your car, do you have Bluetooth in there?
Yeah, well, not the car. It's like a Bluetooth.
Right, you don't even have Bluetooth in there.
Down on the road,
and they're telling you to spend your time in there, work out your problems that way instead of, you know, reaching out to somebody. There's millions of people out there, but maybe no one to help you. Yeah, I don't want it to be the truth, Trevor. I don't want this to be.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I found the screaming in my car typically helps, but now it's harming me. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
And it was really useful. I mean, it feels because I don't know. You're just kind of keeping your composure for the whole day, and then I don't know. You just think about these things that you don't have any control over. So
what
it just
things?
Feels
like what kind of things? What kind of things are you thinking?
Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes you
feel you're just the orphans, you know.
Sometimes you meet a lot of great people, and you interact with so many great people.
Oh, I see. And you start feeling maybe I'm not so great.
No, sometimes you get overwhelmed with all the interactions, and it's just like, I mean, they're all like great interactions, and you're happy to go through everything, but you're kind of like overwhelmed that it's just like a flash in the pan. It's gone. I mean, that's my case.
Right? Lately. Yeah. How are you supposed to reflect on that?
It's just a flash in the pan. It's you don't get to see these people again for a while.
A flash in the pan. Are you cooking?
Lately?
Stovetop?
I'm trying to make some teriyaki chicken. I was thinking about, actually, for a segment, we take it to your living room, and you guys are just doing the thing, and I'm cooking in the background. And then I serve it to you guys, and you judge it. That
could be actually really good. And it would help you build up some like life skills that are going to really take you.
I have this teriyaki chicken recipe I really want to try out. I keep thinking about it. That's like my thing. I like find a recipe and then I think about it for like a long time and then it happens.
And you end up making it.
Yeah.
Do you think being more proactive, you could go and get the stuff yourself and just kind of make it?
Yeah, it's just like factoring in like buying ingredients with also like buying groceries. But the cool thing is like the more you start like cooking, the more just random shit you have lying around to make for other recipes.
I know what you're saying though, because you walk in the store, you walk past all the vegetables and whatnot. I just skip over that.
I mean, you go to Aldi and you get the same shit every time.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. What am I gonna get? Some ingredients for some things? I gotta spend $12.
Like I got a Kroger gift
card. Get some celery, and then I'll use an eighth of it. I'll use an eighth of the celery. What am I gonna do with the celery?
It's too real. I mean, you just gotta eat it with peanut butter.
I don't want to. Oh, actually, peanut butter.
Yeah, it's good, man.
Peanut butter's making a comeback for me.
For you,
for years and years, just peanut butter and jelly. For so long, and now I'm starting to really enjoy it. It's something. Things will happen like that where you'll step away from something and you'll revisit it, and you see what you enjoyed in it, the first time.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, I got a Kroger gift card for Christmas, and I just spent all that on like chili ingredients because I've been wanting to make chili for a year.
Do you think that's like a stupid decision?
No, that was great. That was awesome.
You like the chili?
That was
beans in there?
Chili.
Did you put like beef or
kidney beans, beef, like jalapenos, all this shit? I mean, and noodles. Some people are like, oh, don't put noodles and beans and chili, but you can.
We gotta sell this thing to the Food Network,
We can do that. Is that still relevant? The Food Network?
I don't know, but it's always on.
I mentioned Barefoot Contessa one time. You didn't know who I was talking about.
I didn't know, but I do understand they're a food company, which is nowadays everyone needs food. Yeah,
you could say that.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be crazy to say. People get hungry.
Yeah, people get hungry, man. Dude, it's a hunger crisis out there, and so much food is wasted every day. You know that, right?
Where are they putting it?
In the trash.
Who's doing that?
Restaurants. Have you ever worked at a restaurant, man?
Yeah, you just throw it away.
You just throw it away. People don't eat it. Right. They don't even like put it in a box to make you feel better.
Well, when you're a kid, they're like, you could take this to Africa, but do they really want? Yeah.
Well, I don't know really.
Kraft mac and cheese.
I don't know, dude. It's good to take food home even if you don't finish that sandwich. I remember eating a cold tuna sandwich that I hadn't finished. It was good, man.
I'm not a big tuna guy myself.
I love tuna sandwiches.
Big tuna guy? Because you think this is maybe something that's causing this emotional outburst in your life?
Tuna?
Not tuna specifically, but just these weird kind of... A lot of life is diet, A lot of it's what you put into your body.
You ever heard of
kind of what you get out of it.
You ever heard of the brat diet?
That's just bratwurst. What is it?
That sounds great. But
no, it's beans, rice, avocado, tomato.
Or applesauce and toast.
Okay, yeah. I have heard that.
I'm basically on that, but I'm not on my rice game. And the applesauce, I'm on the smoothie game for sure. But I'll get back on the applesauce.
I mean, those are some different letters completely,
Brat, it's just an acronym.
Yeah, everything just stands for something.
Yeah.
And it's not really important,
What do we stand for, man?
I don't know if that's for us to say. I think you might have to have an outsider perspective to be looking in on this thing and really see the great work we're doing here. Because not everyone's putting their foot out there and really taking a stand like we are.
I guess the bottom line is I love people and I'm sad to see them go, and then I scream about it.
So you saw someone leave?
I see many people. Like every weekend I go. You go to shows and. You hang out with people you love.
Right. And then it's over.
And it's over.
You might never see him again.
Well, so you'll see him again. Like,
maybe.
In
like the afterlife or something?
I mean, sometimes when you're going to see him again, but it's like just going to be a long time, and that's just kind of...
You got to deal with that.
Yeah. You just go back to your day, whatever.
Now, what's your day? Just sitting in the car screaming?
I edit videos, and then I'm like, okay, I have some time alone. Going to think about other things now.
So what do you jump back to childhood?
I go to work and then I scream in my car before I go to work, and then sometimes after work.
Are you all right, man?
I'm good.
You're talking about cooking. You're talking about screaming in your car.
You don't scream in your car? I know people who scream in the car.
Maybe I'll do some vocal exercises. That's a good...
me.
Not necessarily so structured, just kind of like getting the breath work going, It's a good place to do that.
Maybe excessive breathing might be better.
Excessive breathing?
Or just like deep breaths.
But better for what? Oh, then screaming.
Your vocal cords?
Yeah, definitely it'll help.
Because I like my vocal cords. I like my ears. Gotta wear earplugs more.
I think a lot of the viewers would be kind of fine if...
If I just stop talking.
Yeah. I don't know if we have to be that direct. It's not for me to say. I'm actually happy you're here doing this program.
I'm so happy I'm here. I'm always looking forward to this. How was your weekend, man?
Let me think. This weekend was pretty good. Finished the entire album. It's all done.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited to hear it.
Album covers in the works. Got all the songs named. Planning a show for the weekend. Got booking a bunch of shows around that. So things are going good.
Likewise, my friend.
I'm planning a little trip.
Where to?
I don't know. Gonna go camp some places in Tennessee.
Cool.
Maybe a little farther south. So we're gonna have to do 2 episodes in a week.
That's fun. I've been thinking about that.
And
just back to back in a row.
Yeah, we could do that. Just leave the stuff there.
We'd be fucking exhausted, I'm sure. Yeah. From just sitting and talking.
Yeah. Another idea we were, thinking of a segment sort of thing we're here with the guest and then we challenge them to maybe a 2v1 or we could get some other people.
A 2v1, like a fight, a brawl?
No, not a brawl, more of a friendly game. We could play tennis, or basketball, Connect 4, or Uno.
Chess. I
think is a little too time heavy,
Yeah, but I would be invested.
Yeah, but you'd have to get the graphic up on the screen for everything, and you were talking about you're having a lot of trouble just maintaining day-to-day life. So I don't know if adding more, skills.
Yeah, that's a lot of shit on my plate, a lot of stress.
Let's talk about who's coming in here today. We got Anson coming in.
My good buddy Anson.
Do you know him well?
I know him well.
I know him pretty well.
I haven't seen him in a while. I saw him yesterday. It was really nice. But
so what? What? You haven't seen him in a while, but you did see him yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday I went and picked up Nate, and Anson was there.
Oh, nice.
And, it was just good to see him. We used to hang out a lot more. Then you get busy.
Right, happens. Sometimes you get busy, shit happens. I biked with him a few times.
That's cool.
Did a couple night rides. We all got a bike together.
Yeah.
He's got a nice little cruiser.
Yeah, Garrett too.
Garrett, because he does have a bike. We touched on that for a while. He told us his whole, He
told us everything.
Alcoholism it touches everybody. Oh,
hey, look who's here.
Guess. Hold on.
This is what it's like to be all alone, dude. When you got a fucked up voice. Simon's fucking smoking weed with his girlfriend, leaving me all on my own. This is what it's like. I live a horrible life. No, I'm just playing. My voice is a little hoarse.
The Acorn Archive.
Those are Pumas?
They are Puma.
I have a pair myself.
They look like bowling
shoes. Okay, so maybe we'll, reach out to Puma.
Yeah, we'll reach out. I'm actually sponsored by them. You guys can contact my agent.
Now, are you Jamaican, or is this...
No, but in spirit, many would say I am. I leave that to those who have the right to say it.
I think a lot of our viewers feel the same way.
Yeah, so I would hope so.
And then the shades on the glasses are a nice touch that people might overlook.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not nothing.
Blue. It's not shown, but it actually matches my underpants.
That's another. That's
great.
That's another layer to this whole thing.
I just want. I'm like an onion. I want to be able to, take it down, and really give everyone something fresh. The deeper they go.
That's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Thank you for doing that. I mean, we don't usually start episodes this way, but
I felt compelled.
We needed to for this one.
I felt compelled to really put it out for this.
And for our audio listeners, this might be a reason to hop over to YouTube because this visual aspect of this thing is unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Level. Anson, we're happy to have you in here.
Happy to be here.
It's a Tuesday. Spring has sprung officially. We decided last week. And, what does that mean for you? What is this fresh air? Does it remind you of childhood?
Oh, man, it really does. I will say just having that daylight saving shift probably just brought me out of, severe depression.
Yeah, and, what's the deal with the farmers? Why can they not
You know, I'm always asking that. What is, they're always just a buzzkill.
They are.
Like
they're always talking about margins.
Yeah. Like
it's like, dude, you got a big field. You know how many people would die for a big field?
Margarine, butter. There's so many different types. Why are you focusing on one?
Right. Yeah.
And then the margins of margarine, I'm sure, are super small, and I would not want to get.
We're not even going to get. We're not going to get into that.
Yeah, we're not even going to try.
But just about the farmers, it's like, why are they always bringing stuff up?
I think it's because they're vindictive.
Now, what do you mean?
They really just hate the fact that they're the ones that got to do it.
That's
someone's got to do it. They got to do it.
Right.
I heard it sucks. Everyone's always talking about how hard it is to be a farmer.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And them telling me how hard it is does not make
that
me
would
want to
also
be
suck.
one anymore.
That would also suck if, because some people, I guess, just get stuck doing that, and then it'd suck if that's the thing you're doing. Which does sound like one of the shittiest jobs. You got although you do got a big field. You got a big field.
I'm sure there's pluses.
Right.
I'm sure there's benefits.
But it is funny that if you do that job, you're kind of associated with being like an idiot.
It's hard.
And weird. You know all this stuff about margins that not everybody knows.
Yeah, exactly.
You have value to this world. I think that's maybe what the farmers are getting at. Even though they're saying they're worried about money, it's probably not the financial aspect. They just want some respect, like we all do.
They really do want some respect, and you know what? They deserve it because it seems like they know a lot about margins, and I'm sure that their margin knowledge is applicable.
And I get hungry sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, do you get hungry sometimes?
No.
Now,
every once in a while though? Yeah.
When you were young, did you eat?
I tried.
What was a couple of favorites of yours?
I really liked like lettuce.
Okay, some leaves.
Really a fan. Yeah, really like lettuce, and then that eventually led to cabbage.
And
then from there,
did you ever have one of the Patch Kids?
Yeah, the cultural context of being friends with Cabbage Patch Kids definitely helps, that process.
Right.
To expedite it.
Then you got cabbage on the mind.
How's this? Is this better?
It's way better, buddy.
Well, then you got cabbage on the mind, so it makes sense you start just kind of snacking.
Yeah, exactly. You can stuff them, you can roll them, you can just eat them, you can slice them. You can eat them like an orange.
Yeah.
You ever just get like a peach or an orange and you just go at it over the sink, just like nothing held back, juice everywhere. I do that with a cabbage.
That's the way to do it.
But instead of a sink, I usually do it over like a dumpster.
You ever try a lemon with some salt on it?
Oh, yeah. Lemon with some salt, some egg with some salt, lemon with pepper.
Okay.
Pepper,
It's a little aggressive, though. It is kind of a...
Yeah, no, that's more like a hangover cure. But
I can see that.
I'm always hungover, so...
Now, you're a big drinker.
Yeah,
we had Garrett on the podcast last week.
Yeah, how was that?
That was great. He came in, we talked about bikes, and he had a story. He was awesome.
That's Garrett. That's Garrett for you. Always got a story.
He's a guy.
He's a man. He is a guy. He's a guy with many stories, but most of all, a guy.
Now, I loved it. It was great.
It was awesome.
Garrett's so fucking pleasant to have around. Definitely one of my top roommates of all time. I've had a lot of roommates. Garrett's up there. It's kind of crazy how the two roommates I'm living with right now, some of the best roommates I've ever had.
What was the worst roommate you ever had?
I lived with a meth head.
Now, was he a meth head when you guys moved in? When you signed that lease, was he...
So
did he leave that, did he leave the office and go do meth?
Well, see, that's... so the way it worked out was we signed this lease. I was living with some friends I knew from college.
This was a 12-month lease?
The 12-month lease, okay. Yep. Started in August. Typical campus shenanigans,
right, yes.
And one of the guys ended up wanting to end the lease early because he was graduating. But he couldn't find anyone to sublease, a.k.a. he didn't really try that hard. He only reached out to one guy, and it was this friend that he knew in high school. And this guy shows up, and he gets rejected, but he's still just like, whatever, you can live there, you can just start paying the bills. Find out later, like a month in, he's a recovering meth addict, and he relapses while I'm living there, right when COVID starts. Yeah, that was fun. It was, not clean. People lie about that. Meth heads aren't clean.
Right.
They're not clean. They're obsessive, but they obsess over the wrong things.
Now, what sort of things?
They obsess. He had a girlfriend, and she obsessed over keeping her feet moisturized. So she was always like cleaning her feet. She's always like rubbing lotion on it. But whenever she'd walk around, she left little lotion footprints in the carpet. It was gross. It was disgusting. You get all crusty. And that's what I mean. Like they're obsessed about the wrong things. You know, they're not actually doing the shit that needs to be cleaned.
Plus, they're kind of obsessed with meth. You know, you could say.
Yeah, they definitely were. I think that's a prerequisite for being a meth head.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure if you can be a meth head without really enjoying meth
or trying it.
Yeah. You know what?
Now, what is meth? Is this what they make in Breaking Bad? Is that where you smoke it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe you can eat it too. I think.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ones, and they're all kind of.
Yeah. Trevor, you know more about that?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, Trevor, he doesn't want to talk about his past issues, and we said we were going to bring it up. He signed a contract. We had a whole thing. So
I know a lot about
maybe we'll cut the
Bad,
segment.
but not meth.
Are you guys gonna cut this out? Was this bad?
Let's just move on.
Roll
So this guy that you were living with, was he? Well, how far did this spiral out of control? Was it near the lease end? Since you said it was after he graduated that he subleased to this guy, right?
Yeah. So what ended up happening was this guy, who was the original leaser's friend, ends up just leaving and ditching out on lease, and then we have to call this other guy and say, look, you never actually got this guy on the sublease, so technically this is still under your name. So there was this whole debacle where he was refusing to pay rent, and we're like owing like $2,000. But then another one of my roommates was just like, "Fuck it," and ended up paying. He just paid it. Yeah. No, he was super chill. Shout out to Phil if you're out there.
That's crazy, Phil.
Yeah.
Shout out, but come on, man.
Yeah, no, he did not give a fuck. He was like, you know what? It's not worth getting sued over like this $2,000 and going to court. I'm just gonna pay it. So great guy. Other guy, not so cool. Other guy who was addicted to meth. He was actually a little bit cooler. He was addicted to meth. I gotta cut him some slack.
Yeah. Was he good at anything?
He was friendly.
That's a skill.
Yeah, he was. I think he was a roofer. So he was a big guy. Wait,
he was a fat roofer.
He was. Yeah, I would say he was like.
That's kind of funny.
He was like one of those like.
On your roof, you're like.
He's like construction fat.
Okay, you know what I mean? He's just sturdy.
Yes.
He's a sturdy fella.
He's got like a good amount of fat reserve.
Wait, is this the meth head?
This is the meth head.
I thought they were skinnier.
That's what I'm saying, man.
This guy's breaking all the stereotypes, but you got to kind of give it to him for that.
Yeah, he'd get high as hell.
He's not clean, he's fat.
Yeah, he'd get high as hell and just start eating. Like,
but he's still, he's not clean, he's fat, he's still living up to the meth head name of not paying. He's not on the lease.
Yeah. Why did he have to follow those attributes of the stereotypes? Why couldn't he, be clean but then also pay all of his debts,
Right.
I feel like I got like the worst type of meth head as a roommate, essentially, but...
You can always try again.
Exactly, and I did. And, thankfully I haven't ran into a meth head again, fingers crossed.
Right.
Fingers crossed, they're out there.
Nate was talking about his new leaf, but you never know how that's going to last.
I'm keeping an eye on him. He's on like Retcon 4, he's almost there, but we're keeping an eye. Excuse me, oh my gosh. You put something in here?
Yeah, but we're not going to talk about that either. So let's talk about you're growing up, you're a young man. You got a big family? Where are you from?
I was born near Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, and I grew up.
It's warm down there.
It is warm. Loving the new warm air here. Reminded me of childhood, like you said. Grew up there. Big family. That was my dad's side out there. Pretty chill. Moved here moved to like Cleveland when I was like 13, and then moved here for college.
Why'd you move to Cleveland?
Moved to Cleveland. That's my mom's side of the family.
Makes sense.
Parents got divorced. They got split. Took us to good old Ohio, and then came here for college. Haven't left since.
Did you go to OSU or where?
Went to OSU. Yep. Went to OSU for 5 years. Then left because I shouldn't have gone to OSU at all.
What'd you go for?
I went for engineering at first, then architecture after that, then landscape architecture, and then city and regional planning, and then dipped out.
So you can make a whole town, basically.
I tried. That's the goal.
Ansonville?
Anson.
Buy up some property.
Maybe more Ansonburg.
There's a lot of land.
There is. There's a lot of land everywhere, and that's a great thing about global warming. All that land that we used to not be able to use, it's getting
farm it up.
Warmer now. Yeah, that permafrost layer.
This comes back to our local farmers because people get hungry.
People do get hungry.
Did you have a couple comfort foods outside of cabbage, as a child you would turn to?
I really like popcorn.
Popcorn's
Yeah.
Popcorn is good, man.
Popcorn's great. It's one of my favorite foods, if not my favorite food.
good. Greases up the fingers, you know.
It does. But you can get the type that doesn't. But somehow it always ends up just a little bit,
too greasy,
a little
yeah.
glossy.
Yeah.
And I will say, go down into the grave saying this: movie theater popcorn sucks.
Okay.
The popcorn cart popcorn sucks. The best way to make and eat popcorn, it's a science. The best way is the microwave.
Okay.
It seems accurate because they did make a microwave for popcorn. And Trevor, I think you could back me up on this one.
Anson, I was gonna ask you. You were brought up Mormon, correct?
I was. Yes. I got out. Thank God. Okay. But yes, I was. My parents were both Mormon. They're a fun bunch,
right?
They're fun. They are fun. I will say, when you really are just accept that your life's gonna be boring as fuck because you can't do anything fun. You find the fun in the little things and the little chaotic things.
A lot of viewers could benefit from that because something great isn't necessarily going to happen.
Exactly. You gotta make your own excitement.
Right.
But sometimes it get a little crazy. Sometimes it's a wrong kind of crazy. Mormons be kind of freaky. Mormons, they be freaky as hell. I don't know why.
I'm not saying this is freaky as hell, but my one Mormon friend had an older brother and an older sister, and now they're trans.
Whoa. Wow.
Both of them.
That makes sense.
They're both.
Yeah.
So your friend still has an older brother and an older sister, is what you're saying?
Yeah, that's.
Are you just workshopping your tight five?
No, I mean that's true. That is what we said. I mean, and that's not even like we were joking. It was just true. He had an older brother and an older sister again.
So you think this is a problem throughout the Mormon community?
I think,
an affliction,
holding shit in within the Mormon community. Yeah, that's a huge problem.
Trevor was saying earlier when he's
like keeping shit in.
Yeah, and Trevor was saying when he feels built up, he likes to scream in his car.
Mm-hmm,
but then something happens where his voice gets ruined, and then.
Oh, Trevor, you doing good?
Well,
no, but
no, he's not doing great.
No, look, listen. A very nice commercial on the TV told me that screaming in your car is a good stress reliever before
Trevor,
you go and
it's a commercial on the TV.
Yeah, but it works. But now my voice is yeah.
That's fair.
A lot of things in life are like that.
But I have friends who do it too, so I don't know.
Trade-off, exactly.
I don't know.
You guys do it together?
No. No. Trevor was kind of like alone. He was really alone.
So yeah, in your car when you're really alone, that's like the best place to do. Your only place you can scream, unless the windows are down. Or I think it would probably be a lot more beneficial to just breathe instead.
Yeah, he was talking about maybe breathing could be the solution. But
I don't know about
sometimes
that.
you need a certain energy.
Yeah, sometimes you need to scream,
But again, it's a trade-off.
Punching. I say punching's a good one too.
I don't like punching.
Well,
we were talking about that. That's another way to enter. Because we were saying the only way you really know two categories for people.
Poser.
Trevor, please. They're either good to talk to or they're not good to talk to.
It's true. Yeah. A lot of people are bad to talk to. That's for sure.
Right.
It's a skill. It's like jamming.
Yeah, it's sort of like jamming.
It's like jazz.
Do-wop-a-doo-ba-da-da-ba-doo-ba-da. Because everything's sort of improvised. Trevor has a hard time dealing with that. He needs structure in his life.
I'm working on my yes and.
You could actually become Mormon because they find pleasure in the simple things.
All right, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
The simple routines of life.
I think Amish sounds better.
Do they find pleasure in the simple things, though? Because they do have sex with a lot of people, right?
They do, yeah.
That's another part of the thing.
That is pretty simple. I mean, you know what they say? It's the easiest way to have the most fun for free. So in that sense, they are doing it simply. But the problem is the way they do the fun is not simple at all. They get too freaky with it. They get too complex, Once you start doing it so often and you realize that the only joy in life you're ever going to have is the very mediocre milquetoast sex you have with your partner. You're going to have to spice it up, So they do that. And unfortunately, I've had...
You hear about it.
Yeah, I do. Because they all do it, so they all think it's okay. And it's not okay.
No, what are you talking about?
Okay, see, it's freaky sex stuff, But it's not actually that freaky. So it's like they talk about it as if it's freaky, but their freaky is like at most maybe dripping wax,
Oh, nice.
Okay.
You know, they aren't nothing up the butt. You know,
They're into
they
like
aren't
aromas, like smell of candles.
they aren't getting anyone else involved. They aren't doing any actual freaky stuff. They just want to like play the freaky role.
Right.
So it's kind of cringe. You know.
You think so? It's not the freakiness of it that bothers you. It's the unoriginality.
It's the unoriginality and the unawareness.
They think it's kind of cool.
They really lack the cultural aspect. You know.
So they're kind of losers.
They are. They really are, and that's really the reason I left. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's chill, but everyone's
You're a winner,
losers.
you know?
If it weren't for the people, I would still be Mormon. But we do what we can outside of it. You know.
Now, what is Mormon just? What is the root? Is it still Christianity sort of under it?
Yeah.
So you still got Christmas and everything, but everyone's having sex.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes during Christmas.
Oh.
In fact, my parents probably did. You know, August baby here.
Right. It was. Well, I mean, it is the day. You know, it's a day of
Is something
whimsy.
funny, Trevor? I don't.
That's funny. That's funny.
Okay.
You eat a nice breakfast.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just said it so plainly, man. You did the math.
I do. Do meth?
No.
Oh.
We
Okay.
were talking about we didn't want to bring that up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Are we gonna cut that out, or are we just gonna?
We're just gonna work around it. Let's just
Okay. Yeah.
You guys,
we'll
underneath
pass it.
all of that, it's still like you got the God and whatever.
Yeah. So the way breaking it down, so Christianity, Old Testament, New Testament, pretty simple shit. Mormons are like, nah, there's a New Testament. That's the Book of Mormon. So it's like the third book. So it's like it's everything and. Talking about yes and.
Right, the Mormons kind of took that to the extreme.
Right, Trevor?
Yeah, man.
But it's fun to shake things up.
It is. It is good to shake things up, and really, that's what Mormons want to do. They shook things up 200 years later, and they're 200 years ago, and they're still riding that wave. Now they're trying to like seem all cool and hip. Seem like they're low key, but they're not low key.
Right.
It's just weird.
They're the richest religion in the world.
Now, when did you get out of that thing?
It's 15.
Now, what does that even mean? You're just like, nah.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
That's the whole thing, right?
Yeah, because when I moved to Ohio, I realized I never actually believed in anything. I just liked going there because my friends were there. So I went to a new place with no friends. Very quickly became very clear that it's boring and awful.
Right.
So then I kind of got out of it, but unfortunately my mother was like, nah, you're going to still go until you graduate. So I had to go.
Go to what?
Church.
Mormon church.
Every Sunday, yeah. That's it's like a 3-hour service every week. I still hate Sundays. Yeah. It kind of ruined it for me. But it's okay. We don't got to do that anymore. Although I always thought it would be fun to go back.
Let's go back.
Yeah, okay. What would they do if I walked in to the back pew and I just opened up a beer? And I just sat there, or I had my vape pen and I was hitting that, smoke a J, Do
you think it would get them going sexually?
I'd hope. That's the biggest. That's how they get you.
Everything's a trade-off.
Yeah, because Mormons have this. So after you turn a certain age, you start to go to this thing called the singles board, where it's like everyone from a certain age group who is single, and you get paired up quick. That's why Mormons get people in, is because if you become Mormon as a man, is essentially there is like the level of like, oh yeah, you're gonna probably get laid sooner rather than later.
That's so weird.
But it also means that you're probably gonna get married even sooner. So
right.
Trade-offs.
Everything's a trade-off.
Everything's a trade-off. I feel like that's a theme.
I've seen it.
You've seen it?
I've seen it.
You've seen it?
Yeah.
How short? How long did they know each other before they got married?
Probably 6 months.
6 months? Yeah. My sister did it in like 3.
Ooh.
Yeah. Not
She
married
was
to him
ready,
anymore.
They were ready.
Shout out to Brandon Terrell. Love you, man. I hope you're doing great.
No, I actually my voice sucks, dude.
Yeah.
But I had a lot. I did have a few friends who married young, and I think it was just to have sex.
Yeah.
So
It's always just that.
I mean, that's a hilarious setup, though.
It is. It
Yeah,
is
you
very
can't have
hilarious.
sex. So you get married, and then they're like, "What about her?" And
Yeah,
then
you
you're
think-
like, "All right,"
I mean, just instant regret.
and then that's the whole thing.
It's probably the worst post-nut clarity of all time.
Right. So then you go in and have a child, and then his name's Anson. and eventually he's growing up. When does he get interested in like, the arts, music?
Well, my dad was an artist. He sculpted, did physical pieces out of wood. And when I was a kid, wanted to be an artist. Family is very musical. Everyone on my mother's side every offspring, oh Jesus, I hate that word. Every child that came from my mother's biological father, including my mother's biological father, they're all in bands or play music. Like, even though some of them are like never met. It's just kind of how it's kind of like, I feel like there's a gene or something. But always, so because of that, always in the music, Mormon church, singing all the time. So lots.
Do they got good songs?
No, not really. Kind of the worst hymns.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of them, I will say, a lot of them were written by that one guy's wife. She did good work. She was putting out decent songs. But she ain't Beethoven.
Consistent, but
the Catholic Church has like all these songs and all this history to pull all these hymns from.
Yeah.
They had 2 years to write a whole book. So
right,
it struggles at times. They're definitely the hits. But then started going to art school in like the 6th and 7th grade. Was doing cello and piano and choir. Then the 8th grade is when I picked up the bass. And that is, how it all kind of started.
Big bass fella.
Big bass guy. Big bass guy. First instrument, really, that I, actually got into. I played cello, and I played a little bit of piano. Nothing
Is
significant.
Cello tuned EADG? Or?
No, it's CGDA? CGD, yeah, CGDA.
Is this fifths?
Yep,
Huh.
It is. Yep, it's fifths. Which is kind of cool, especially in like a rock standpoint. Like having you got power chords just at your fingertips with all the intervals. But but I started playing bass because I saw that clip of School of Rock where Jack Black says that the bass is just the cello turned sideways.
Cello.
Yeah, and I had this really embarrassing moment where we were in symphony and it was 50 plus kids, we're getting ready for our concert and someone brought up something and I brought up how I was playing bass and the teacher asked me about it and I said, yeah, I'm trying to play electric bass because it's just the cello turned sideways. And then my instructor said, no, the electric bass is just the bass turned sideways. I was like, oh.
Right.
Well, shit. So, but
But if you think about it, who that director probably was, what prospects in life did they have? Now you're growing up.
Yeah.
Who was this guy?
I mean,
who's hanging out with kids teaching them music?
Yeah.
Who are these people?
Yeah, who's that guy? Yeah. Not a guy though, but most of the faculty were actually. Now that I think about, most of the orchestra faculty back then were women. Killing it though.
Right.
She was actually a bassist. She was a bassist in the Phoenix Symphony
Orchestra.
Yep. Yeah, she was killing it. She was killing it back in the day. Good times.
Is she dead now? You think she's dead?
I don't think so.
Probably not, right?
Probably not.
Okay.
She's still probably kicking it.
That's good.
Actually,
Maybe we can get her on this thing.
One
Trevor,
of my.
could you reach out to her?
Yeah.
I'll do that right now, man.
I'll send you my Rolodex.
That'd be great.
One of my instructors, I heard from my sister, actually toured with Led Zeppelin for a little bit.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if that's verified. So
Well, we'll just put it out there.
Yeah. We'll
It
ask.
sounds cool, so let's believe it.
I kind of forgot all the names of my teachers at ASA, but if any of them see this, feel free to comment. Leave some info about your experience with Led Zeppelin. Is Jimmy Page awful? I heard he is.
You ever have a good garden or like a nice neighbor or anything?
A good garden? Yeah.
Did you live in? So was it like desert?
Yeah.
Where
Well,
you
it was Phoenix, so it was like desert. But desert is like weird because you think of desert, you think barren, but like desert
sand?
and like exactly. But the Sonoran Desert was actually like has a lot of fauna or a lot of flora. Well, a lot of flora and fauna.
Is that just like trees and shit?
Yeah, plants. Yeah, it grew a lot of stuff. A lot of citrus. We had a lemon tree.
Ah, that's nice.
Cantaloupe.
Can
Peppers.
you grow that stuff up here? Can you grow it in Ohio?
Probably. Yeah, I feel like you could grow a lemon tree here. Although they probably like the heat a little bit.
Maybe grow better down
That's
there.
one of the 5 C's of Arizona. It's climate, cotton, cattle, citrus, copper.
Canyon.
Canyon 6. Write that down. Yeah.
Is it hot all year?
Pretty hot all year. No daylight savings.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. No
What do you
daylight
mean-
savings.
What do you mean? They don't change it?
They don't change it. Yeah.
That's weird. I never thought they'd.
It's the only state to do that.
Figure it was everyone.
Yeah,
Well, what do
this-
you mean the only state?
It's the only state that does that. Every other state does it.
special.
Yeah.
Wait. So if you're,
It's the sunniest state, so it makes sense.
it's the only state that doesn't do a time change.
Yeah.
So if you're driving
Yep.
out
Yeah.
of the state, you lose an hour.
Yeah.
Or
Yep. And I'm not sure how the time zones work, but I bet if you went from like New Mexico, Arizona to Colorado, there might be a chance that you could like go from 7 to 6 and then back to 7. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
jump back and then jump back up.
I figured everyone did that. I didn't
Nah.
think you could just opt out.
Yeah, no.
You should take a poll.
It's so fun. It's so sunny in Arizona. You know, you don't need it.
Wow.
They do it for farmers, but when you got like 14 hours of sunlight,
Right. We love our
Yeah.
farmers. You know, everyone gets hungry.
you know, they know their margins, their time margins, their food margins. Excuse me. What'd you put
Everyone's
in
trying
this?
to, you know, everyone's trying to conserve what they got and also get rid of it as fast as possible.
That's the American dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's what I'm trying to do. You know,
You
just
got any
trying to-
specific goals like that?
You know, just you know, finding some way to make money. You know, that's a good goal. You know, it's looking pretty barren out here
Right,
at this
yeah.
point. You know, but we trying. We all got day gigs.
Right.
You know, trying to do what we can. Just got back from mine before this. You know, making
They
pizzas,
keep building sheets.
Slinging zonies, dude.
slinging zonies.
I
You
used to
Dude,
know,
I
work
still
at the
want to.
pizza
I want to
place.
eat a zoni, dude.
That's-
What is that?
What is it?
A zony,
We're back
man.
here slinging zonies.
Slinging
man.
zonies.
What is this?
Living the kitchen lifestyle.
I don't know why our restaurant calls them that, but it's what we call calzones.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're
Oh,
not like
those
actual calzones where they're like folded in half, like the half circle. They look more like a
Is it a
brick.
nice restaurant?
It's okay, yeah. It's got good and bad stuff. We got good pizza. We got good sauce.
What is it like? Nice.
No, it's not. No, it's not like a place you're gonna go on like a date or something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could go on a date there, but
Look at
it
the
might.
zoni.
Yeah, it might be a little weird. But it's like it's clean. It's got a good dining room. It's got like full service. It's got
Okay.
servers
Okay,
and
yeah.
everything. But I'd say it's like a solid mid tier. It's not trying like for a pizza place. It's nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a pizza place. So
And you're making the pizzas.
I'm making the pizzas. I'm cooking the pizzas, making sandwiches, wings.
I delivered for a while.
Really?
Let's talk about that margin.
Yeah.
Shit.
I've heard that's awful.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad I don't do it at my job.
Yeah.
I've heard horror stories.
Name one.
Horrors or horrors?
Either or. Really.
Tell a quick little story.
Well, so there's this guy I work with, and he
And you work
Sure.
with this guy?
yeah, I work with this guy. He started working, and I started working with him,
Uh-huh.
and you know, it's pretty horrible. No, so I started working here like 8 months ago, maybe a year. And the first time I work with him, I go outside to take out trash, and I notice that his car's on. I was like, So I go and tell him, he's like, yeah. It's like, oh. So I come to find out that's just what he does. He, in between deliveries, just leaves his car on
right.
with his keys in the ignition
Yeah.
in the parking lot waiting for pizzas. Like a month ago, his car got stolen
Hell
from the
yeah.
parking lot. Yeah.
Everyone would do that. They just leave it out there.
It's dangerous. So yeah, I got stolen by a couple of Kia boys. They dumped it the next
That's
day.
hilarious.
But he had to apparently spend the night in a homeless shelter because he had his wallet
Didn't
and
you have a
his
story like
keys.
this where someone got robbed?
Yeah, my buddy Zane got his car stolen. But he
That's
got it back.
hilarious. Turn the car off.
We'll have him on the
Or
show
lock-
and he'll tell all about it.
If you have to have the key in the, you just.
Yeah, is it like a half like a necessity thing? Like he had to have it, like he couldn't turn it
No,
off.
you just.
I don't know.
People, it's just.
Yeah, you know,
obviously
let's not
it's
spoil the
more
story.
comfortable to do that.
well, I think people just generally like I've just seen people like on Summit just leave their car door just
Oh, like
wide
on
open,
in the.
not even in the parking lane. I probably said this on here before. But
That's insane.
yeah, and like, I think people just don't leave your car running and leave it.
Yeah.
People will take it.
Yeah, they really will. And it's kind of a weird culture now because back in the day, even like 15 years ago, people would steal cars and they would either part them or sell them whole. 15 years ago, you really weren't selling them whole, you're parting them. But nowadays, it's gotten even harder. So most of the incentive for robbing cars nowadays is just to go on a fucking joyride.
Yeah.
You know, get the boys together, start cruising around, find a car, fucking take it, go fucking ride around the city for a whole night.
Which is as good as it gets.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a lot of fun. I'm
It
sure it's a
sounds
great
great.
adrenaline rush. You know, you don't give a fuck about the car.
Yeah.
Just wrecking it, just driving around, and then when it runs
You
out
just
of
start
gas,
walking.
yeah, just dump it in a fucking parking lot and we'll walk away. Sounds fucking great.
The
you
more
know?
we're talking about this, it's really... I forget actually what the negatives were to this.
Yeah, you know, I guess what I'm leading up to is he still leaves it on. So if we want to go do that,
Yeah, there's people... people do that. Pizza places all around. They'll just see a car running, doors definitely unlocked because the keys are in there.
it's not advised.
No one's watching at all.
Yeah, it's not advised. I don't really know why people will do that.
No, and we're against that on this program. We do want to make that
I would
clear.
say so. I really say that, you know, you really should take accountability for your property, but I
Yeah,
only
take
say
out a
that
loan.
on this podcast.
You know, get a lease or something.
Yeah, you know.
Buy used. Buy used.
Yeah.
I used. I mean, that is a thing now. You
I
know
don't-
what my main thing is? I'm sorry.
I just don't think you should get a lease unless you're like 80 years old.
That's true. You gotta be older. Yeah. And I also think that like cars nowadays all look fucking ugly.
They're kind of weird, yeah.
Yeah, they all look like the tip of the penis of a transformer.
That's actually
Like I don't
Really
like it.
poignant.
Yeah, they are poignant. They got a lot of edges, and I don't get it. I feel like we're gonna look back at this period of like car history like we do the '90s, where
Yeah.
it's like it's kind of all ugly. Like
Yeah.
there's some good ones here and there, but
90s cars look sweet. Are you saying you don't fucking like the Toyota Camry, dude?
I do like the simple shit box.
I like Toyota
I agree.
Camrys. Toyota Corollas and Camrys ain't bad from that era. Jeep XJ
Even the
Cherokees,
shitty Buicks
not bad.
looks good.
The Buicks ain't bad.
What about the Chevy Impala, dude?
Well, that's the thing
Or
is
the
that.
Lumina. Come on, what are you even talking about?
See, well, that's the
Actually,
thing
yeah,
though.
now that he's talking about it. What are you talking about?
The cars that looked cool back then were like the simple cars. But
Yeah.
when they actually tried to make cars that look cool, they made the 90s Mustang. They made the 90s Camaro. You know, they made like all those really shitty looking 90s sports cars. you
Trevor?
know?
Response? I'm about to take
Yeah.
Anson's side on this one.
Yeah, what do you guys say for that, Trev?
He's making
I
a good
mean-
point here, actually.
I probably haven't seen the specific ones you're talking about, but I still think like stupid sports cars from that era still look cool.
I mean, they
just look funny.
I know that's the thing. It's like they're still cool. But like if we were in the 90s, we wouldn't think they were cool.
All right, yeah, fair point, dude.
I'm sure that like in like 30 years, I'll be like being like, "Oh man, I remember the 2025 Toyota Corolla hatchback. That was sick." You
Dude,
know?
I don't care about the 2025 Corolla.
Okay.
Trevor, you need to calm down, man. You got to calm down.
Hey,
Hey,
I get kind of pissed when I'm
it was
like,
25 years ago. It was
Dude,
half a century
What do you
ago.
want? What are you looking
I
forward
literally
to?
want a Toyota Corolla or a Camry. I'm like, oh, dude, my dream car is a Toyota Camry, and people were like, that's it.
What
That's
year?
Any like from like I don't know.
Okay.
Take out a lease.
One with not a lot of miles on it.
Okay, fair. Dude, there's this car, Toyota Corolla that parks on High Street, like right next to like the North Campus Liquor where it used to be.
So do you want to take it?
It's clean.
Should we take it?
Oh man, it's got like leather seats. It's got the white paint. Oh, it's got the headlights that fold down.
And it's just there.
Yeah, it's just there. What about like an AE86? Huh? You like those 80s Corollas? Huh? You big into anime?
Yeah. What? No.
Oh, okay.
You really take with me for that kind of guy, dude?
I mean, you said you like the AE86, so
I don't even know what that is.
okay.
Why are you... I'm about to take Anson's side again because you're representing this whole argument from a uneducated standpoint.
Yeah, and he doesn't even know what he's talking about.
He does it clearly.
Yeah, trade-offs.
Everything's a trade-off.
Everything's a
trade-off.
trade-off.
What are you trading off in life to get where you're going? Where are you headed?
I feel like I sold my soul to the devil.
Okay.
You know, so that's a trade-off. We'll see if it pays off. We'll see
Now,
if
what
the
does that
trade-off
mean?
paid off.
Is that an actual feeling you got?
Yeah. You know, I feel like
Is it a Mormon thing?
no, no. Mormons don't trade anything. You know, Mormons are great businessmen.
Oh, okay. Everything's got a value in this.
Yeah, you know, they really know the margins. Great farmers. You know, I feel like I'm putting more of my effort when it comes to trying to be a better person and trying to live life the best way I can. I'm putting some of that effort a little bit more into trying to get better at music and the craft.
Yeah.
So at times I feel like I'm, you know, it's trade-offs.
Right.
You know, and I'm a man with not that much energy. You know, it takes me a little bit to really get the motivation to do stuff. So when it comes to finding the energy to do not only one thing but multiple things, it can be hard.
It's hard to remember what you're even trying to do.
You can't. Yeah, you can sometimes lose sight. You know, but you know, this year's been good. You know, starting off fresh, starting off strong. You know, getting a lot of stuff done.
Do you think everything might take a horrible turn?
Well, probably. Okay. Probably. Yeah. You know, the climate isn't getting any better.
Right, it's warming up. Well, we were talking about maybe for farmers.
Yeah, you know, there's gonna be a lot more rain in Ohio. A lot more rain.
I'm not a big fan of the rain.
A lot more rain.
Because I like when it's dry.
Yeah, I kind of like when it's dry too. I will admit.
Trevor, could you please keep it down over there? Trevor.
What'd you put in that?
Trevor.
What'd you put in this beer, dude?
You specifically said let's not bring that up.
Trevor, you said we're not supposed to talk about
it.
Sponsor?
If you guys don't see the Miller High Life commercials, this thing went horribly wrong, and it's Trevor's fault. Trevor's to blame.
Yeah, I choked on Miller High Life.
That's okay, buddy. That's
you can bleep that.
It's because of the sickness he's got. He's got some sort of disease, but he won't address it.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we wanted to get an actual sponsor.
Yeah.
Like really bad podcasts back in the day.
Yeah. Now, what are you saying? What does that mean? Why'd you open with that?
Yeah, basically. What does that entail?
Basically.
Any day now, whenever you want to get to it, because this
timing's complex.
You know, it's costing us money. This
honestly,
film.
Dude, I think we should skip it because my camera's out of focus. It doesn't even matter.
Can't even focus on this thing. This he comes in here foggy. He comes in here with his. He's been screaming in his car, so his voice is gone. Yeah. It's like this is what the people are paying for, and if you're not going to show up with the right attitude and the right energy, why are you showing up at all, sort of thing?
Yeah. What's your sharpest aspect, Trevor?
Yeah. What is your?
What's not foggy right now?
What's really?
It's not gonna pick up on the mic.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Because there's really nothing you could say in that situation that would be true.
See, for those who can't hear it, Trevor is actually at a loss for words. He actually doesn't know what to say right now because we're making such a good point.
He's kind of.
Wow, he's actually apologizing to us actually as we speak, and now he's walking back, and now he's going to say that he's going to lie. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, Trevor, come on, explain yourself a little bit here because you don't have to be. This is a safe space for you.
Anyways, so it has basically always been cheap to advertise porn. So Adam and Eve advertising, that shit was everywhere.
Holy shit! No, Blue Chew.
Oh, so we got. Is that
so
what
we should just sell dildos and porn.
Let's
and
do. We could do a little Mormon themed episode.
Oh, Mormon sex toys.
Yes. Because do you think there's a demand for that? Because I'm really not sure.
Honestly,
what's interesting is there's so many people you don't really have a way to comprehend it. So there's a market for everything.
There really is. Honestly, there probably is. You know, let me think. So let's think about our demographics. Mormons, so white.
Right.
So they're probably having a little trouble pleasing. You know what I mean? So maybe get those like sleeves, Mormon cock sleeves.
We were wondering what's Trevor good for, and then he brings out an idea like this, and we remember he's a vital part of this organization.
Why did we ever question it?
I don't know. I'm starting to feel bad, actually.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
I'm starting to feel like I cast a projection on you that's
man.
Not fully accurate.
Yeah.
And I want the viewers to know we can see your value here.
Yeah, and that's important because here we're all about the trade-offs. And we really want to make sure that we're trading off the good with the bad. And when that comes to Trevor demonstrating his bad and then his good, we can't help but acknowledge it.
Yeah.
It's all about the honesty and the truth.
It's weird, though, because everything is from your perspective. It's from where you're... you see things... you ever work on a song... You make a bunch of changes, and then the next day you listen to it, you undo everything you just did.
Yeah, it sounds like shit.
You spend 4 hours doing it all, and you got nowhere.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But then you come back the next day and you make the changes again.
Yeah, it's the worst feeling.
So it's like, what am I doing with my life?
Mm-hmm,
You know,
mm-hmm,
it's
yeah.
hard. It's hard with creative work. It's hard to sit down and. Sometimes you're halfway through a thing and you just need to put time in and work in. But when you're trying to make something, it's hard to sit down and just like put in time and expect a result to come. Because it's like, what am I? Sometimes you do end up wasting your time.
Yeah. Yeah, and the acquisition of knowledge is the process of turning back down roads, you know?
Right.
That's sometimes it feels like you're tracking back, but it's worth the knowledge to know that, that's not the road anymore.
You had to get there first.
Exactly.
To get to the next place.
Yeah, you know where the right road is because you went down all the wrong ones.
You know what the wrong ones, right.
Exactly. Yeah, no, mixing sucks.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Are you mixing on the... No, you got a new setup, right?
Yeah, I've been upgrading the setup, getting like more of a hybrid recording setup going right now. But I have been mixing on the tape machine. We've got a couple of mixes on that. Right now we're trying to work on releasing a double-sided single thing.
Nice, I saw that. It's going to be cool.
It's going to be cool, yeah. A lot of work, a lot of money.
Yeah.
Things are expensive.
Right.
I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan of spending money, I will say.
Nope.
But, you got to spend money to spend money.
That's a good point, because if you have it all, where's it going to go?
Exactly. If
It's
you're
nice
not
to get
spending
rid of
it, you're
so
spending
you don't
it.
have to think about it, yeah.
You have to make it, spend it. So make it.
That's good, man.
That is good.
It's kind of like Morse code. Like you make, spend, make, spend, make, spend.
Sometimes you'll notice a large pattern in life that, you ever heard the thing where, like, the first time you do something, it's pretty good. The second time, you're horrible. And then the third time, it's like, oh, that's all. I got it.
Yep. That's the Dave Chappelle experience. Yeah.
What does that mean? Did he make a joke about it?
Apparently, that's happened to him.
Or did you see him 2 times and the third time you got it?
Apparently, Dave Chappelle's first show was really good, and everyone talked about how he was a prodigy. But then he always talked about how, like, no one talks about how his second show sucked.
And then the third one, he got it, maybe.
Probably a little better.
It's nice because on the third one, you get it.
Exactly.
You go the first time, you get it a little bit. Second time, you don't get it at all. Third time, you really got it.
That's true.
So there's these big patterns. Sometimes you notice you'll be doing a whole week routine, and you're like, I think this is the second time I've done this whole routine of this week because it's still in shit.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then the third time, which maybe happens 6 months later, you're like, oh yeah.
Bada bing. It's kind of, honestly, it's why whenever I get into a new band, especially with like the first show, I kind of hope it's shit.
Right.
Because if it's great, then you're like, oh, great. We haven't experienced the bad one yet. So then you're just waiting.
It's the bad one.
And then, then you get used to being good. And that's the thing, is if you're in a band where your first 4 shows are great, and then the 5th one sucks,
yeah,
the 5th one is devastating.
Right.
Suddenly it's like, oh, it's not a part of the process. It's because we did something wrong. We're regressing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's just part of the process. You're just a late bloomer. But yeah,
if there was some money in this thing, you could just play every night, and then you'd get real good real quick, and it'd be like, yeah.
And then there is potential. There is money. There is money to be had, but restrictions.
They keep making Sheetz gas stations.
Yeah.
So they must have. They probably got like $400 they can give me. I'm not sure who they are, but it's out there. You know.
You know what's proof of the market for our music?
What?
The fact that we can throw a house show, make the flyer the day of, post it on some random fucking Instagram account, get 200 people there. We go and host a show at fucking Ace of Cups. We're lucky if 70 come.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. We were talking about the lab a little bit in the intro, and we were talking about the house show versus the venue, and it's like, although it sucks putting on a house show because everyone's trashing your house, blah, 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 whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But you never
trade-offs.
The venue's never quite the same party as the
no,
it's a trade-off. And everyone's like, come to the venue. It's gonna be the party. It's gonna be everyone's gonna be hanging out.
It never is.
It's never quite like that. It's more like everyone's kind of standing there.
You know what
it's nice to stay in places, but
I feel like our generation doesn't believe in third places. You know what third place is?
Like after second place, you go third.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a place where you go to third place. It's like a place where people just hang out.
A tertiary location.
Like back in the 50s, people would go to a diner and, order something, but they'd also go there and just chill.
Yeah.
They go there to do homework, to talk to their friends.
Well, there's two. Well, first of all, the diners suck shit now.
Yeah, the old diners suck shit now.
Also, everyone wants to hurry up and be alone because they got all these things they can look at.
Exactly.
I think back then it was just like, all right, see ya, and then you're just like sitting
and then
in
you're
a room,
bored. Yeah.
quiet, and it's.
That's fair. That's fair.
If I'm being honest, it hasn't been quiet since like 2012.
Yeah. No. 2012 might be the year. That might be the year. Yeah. That's about. I think that's the year I got a smartphone.
I used to sit in quiet.
Yeah. I used to like build Legos just by myself with nothing. That's crazy. It's crazy to me to think about that. But yeah, no one does that. Like no one goes to a business just to hang out. Like if we go to a venue, it's because it's for a show.
They don't want you there.
They don't. They literally don't. They literally don't want you there. And I feel like house venues scratch that itch.
Yeah.
Per se, people love it. And I will say personally, from my experience, if you set the boundaries right away and you build a culture, like people are respectful.
Yeah, you had a pretty good one. A lot of them went to shit pretty quick.
A lot of them did.
Yours held. Did you guys had some? You had the floor caving in though, right?
No. That was
was
more
a false
just
alarm.
it was a freak out by our landlord.
Okay.
Yeah. They
Is he heavy set? Are they heavy set?
No.
Could have been them weighing down the whole thing.
They just she came in during our last show we had during the golden age. We had 4 shows. We only had 4 shows during our big rush during the summer of 2022. And
my favorite song.
It was a great summer. Good wine. But she came in and shut it down, and she didn't cite any noise complaints at all. Her only complaint was structural damage, and she claimed that the floor joists are getting damaged, and they aren't. I went and checked. Our floor is actually pretty sturdy. We've got
stronger than ever, maybe.
Yeah, we've got this cool. Actually, yes. In fact, because of that, I got so paranoid. I went and
you should actually charge her a little bit because we've kind of built you kind of broken in these floors.
Literally, and I went and bought 2 18,000-pound floor jacks to put underneath the floor because I was paranoid, and so that floor
unnecessary.
It was unnecessary, but that floor is not going anywhere.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so that.
Wait, how much did you spend on the jacks?
Like $120.
Oh, it's not bad at all.
No, not bad at all. I can use them again. They're mine. I could take them back maybe if I wanted to.
It'd be funny if you'd taken them out and then it collapses on you. But we're not going to get into that because this is not a podcast where we...
Construction? We're not talking about construction? Okay.
Well, we can touch on construction. We just don't want to get to doom and gloom.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
You into construction? You into making stuff? Well, you were talking about making a whole city.
Ansonville. Yeah. Eventually.
We touched on Ansonville.
Ansonburg,
sorry.
Ansonburg, yeah. Well, we'll see. I'd like to keep it in the works.
You can make one in Roblox or something like that.
I could a virtual city. That really is the future. There is no there VR.
It might be.
AI?
Yeah.
VR, AI. I always thought that one day
I saw a homeless guy sitting outside of an abandoned strip mall with a Meta Quest on his head. And it's like...
That's honestly their greatest market.
He's in a real nice place in there.
Yeah, that's who they should be marketing to. It's homeless people.
One's using these,
You want to escape reality?
Downtown abandoned storefronts.
Yeah.
So it's nice for them to be able to sit out there.
So while they're
needs a space to sit.
Yeah, and if you're in the Meta headgear, your space is infinitely big.
Right. Plus it's wireless. It's
everywhere's your home. If you're homeless and
you got
a Meta,
there is a little home thing in there.
Yeah. Who needs warmth?
Who needs the affection of another person when you have some kind of virtual satisfaction? That's kind of maybe why you moved away from the Mormon religion. Yeah,
it's very much like a virtual world in there. They create their own society, their own rules.
Club Penguin sort of thing.
It is. It very much is kind of like a Club Penguin kind of vibe, and they're all wearing penguin suits.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And they got their muffles or whatever. What are those things called?
Puffles.
Puffles. Thank you. They just deactivated your account if you just didn't log in for long enough.
Yeah, then they take your poggers.
They take your poggers and...
There were no poggers in that game.
Puffles, man.
Oh.
Puffles. All right, well, let's look forward a little bit, wrap this thing up. What do you have coming up in life? What's the next 40 years looking like for Anson?
A lot of music, a lot of art, a lot of music, a lot of production, a lot of helping other people do their music, a lot of recording, trying to trying to help people make music that doesn't sound bad.
Right.
You know, it's fun. I trying to get there. We're getting to the point where now, starting to like work with a little bit more people. The last like 4 years have been kind of a little bit more stagnant on that end, just because the whole motivation thing. But we're here now, doing good. Doing
we're
good
here in the present moment.
Yeah,
And we're
maybe
looking
buy
forward.
land in Alaska. We'll see.
What did you say? You're going to Alaska?
Maybe second stage.
How are you getting there?
Well, if I make money, climate's going to shit. In 100 years, Ohio's going to be Arizona.
That's what they keep saying. And
Mark
then
my
we'll
words.
have oranges in Columbus.
And saguaros, yeah.
Are you down to do a little musical performance for us?
Always.
Hell yeah.
Not always. I'm not sure why
Not
I said
always,
that.
because
But this
everyone's
time,
got,
yes.
like a time when they're, everyone's got a
Exactly.
structure.
Time
in
and
their
a
day.
place for everything.
There
That
is a time and
is
place.
now.
The time is now.
Trevor,
Wonderful.
do you have any final words to add to this?
I just said it.
Okay.
All right, we don't need the sass. You don't need to end this on a negative note.
So mean.
We've tried to prop you up through this whole thing, and you're just going to end up.
Trevor, it's really all about trade-offs.
It is all
I
about a
love you,
trade-off.
Anson.
If you're a nicer person,
too,
people,
Trevor.
nice people come back to you. Anson, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get you over here.
Wonderful.
Yeah, go for it.
I smell my breath. cool.
That was awesome.
You're listening to KX 275.